Good day guys. So for today, we are going to create a Python rock, paper, and scissors game. We will be using Python's random library to generate random choices by the computer. This will only be a single player mode. This will only be in single player mode, meaning it's the user against the computer. So this will just be a simple Python game, simple Python rock, paper, and scissors game. Okay, so let's now start the fun part, which is we are now going to start our coding. So first thing that we need to do is we're going to create a menu. Okay, so let's first define navigation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is the first part of our script wherein we created a text-based rock, paper, and scissors. So Tim said this is the first part where we're going to create our navigations. As you can see, I started off with 0, then 1, and 2. So rock, paper, and scissors will still be inside an array. Okay, so forgot this part. Import random. Okay, so I called on my random library here on top. Then I also defined the navigation. Okay, so let's try to see how it will look. Navigation. Okay, so let's try to run it first. Okay, now as you can see, this will be the output of our game. Uh, this will be the output of our game wherein we have the menu already here. Okay, so let's add some more code. Okay, now let's try to create another function called define try to call this one guest choice. Okay, now the guest choice function uh, will be used to create the logic of our game itself. Okay, so let's first try to define our option rock, paper, scissors. Okay, let's already define our floor. 0. Now we have your option rock, paper, and scissors. As you can see, we have defined it inside an array. So rock, this will be our index 0, index 1, index 2. Now the floor is that's the bottom part of, or that's the first element of our um, array. Okay, so let's try to do some more coding. See, and then Okay, so if this is the bottom part, this will be your length or your len is a function that we can use to count the number of elements inside our array. Okay, try to do some more. Now, we also wanted to have a score or scoring for our application. So let's first try to define my score 0. PC score is also 0. Okay. So this will be used for my score, and this will be used for our opponent's score, which is just um, our computer. Okay. Next, so to copy this part so that it will be easier. Now, before we can proceed with the actual game, we also need to define the number of turns that we wanted to have. So normally, for the number of terms, we should define it as an odd number. It should be defined as an odd number. Why is it that we need to define it as an odd number? If it's even numbers, like for example, if we're going to define it by 2, tendency is there's a possibility that both the user and the computer will win. Okay. Whereas if we're going to define it as an odd number, let's say for example 3 or 4, at least there's going to be a difference of 1. So only one person or only one element or only one entity can actually win. So let's try to get this one. Try to define it as num turns. Let's try to define this time as num turns equals to input, please enter number of turns. Or a little bit shorter, best of. Okay. If num turns, okay, we'll be using modulo equals to 1. Try to convert your num turns into integer. Okay. So if we're going to have it modulo 2, then there should be a difference still of 1, or there should be a result of 1. Whereas if we're going to have something like else, this will be the even part. So if we're going to use this one, if the user entered odd number, okay. Whereas on this section, if the user entered even number, okay. Let's try to put a prompt here. Print invalid number. Please enter odd numbers only. Okay. Next is we will be doing this time the bulk or the logic of the game itself. Okay, so if let's say for example the user entered 3, so this will be the choice, or this will be the choice that the computer will be processing. Okay, so try to use for loop 4. I in range. No. In range int num-terms. Okay, so what this does is we will be using our for loop. So it will loop um, the number of times uh, of we will be looping here on how many times the value. So let's say, for example, if you entered 3, it will be looping 3 times, or 3 times. Or if you entered 4 or 5, we will be processing 5 times, or it will actually process it 5 times. Next is print turn I. Okay, so this is just a part so that we will know how many number of turns have been done already. Okay, I plus 1. Next, try to randomize our number. Let's try to randomize this time the choices of the computer. Rand equals to random let int floor ceiling minus 1. Then let's also try to call our navigation on top. Navigation. Okay. Have to reformat first. That's it. Okay. So we will be using this one, random rand int. This will be the start. If we're going to define it as an actual number, it's going to be 0. Then we have here 2. Okay. 2 being usually an array starts at 0. So 0, 1, and 2. So this will be actually be 3 elements. So let's just try to define it as some ceiling and floor, since we actually try to place it inside our variable floor and ceiling. Navigation. Answer. This will be our my answer. Input. Select choice. Let me put something like this. Okay. So we have here navigation, then we have here my ans. Basically, ans is my choice. So let's say, for example, I entered 0. This should be processed, or 1 or 2 or whatever. Okay, so next. If ans then len option int else print choice. Okay, so what does this function, what does this section does? Basically, we need to check also if the user entered correct values. So we also need to check if, let's say, for example, the user entered a different value, let's say, for example, 4 or 5, which is not found on the option itself. So we will be redirected here, invalid choice. Otherwise, we can proceed with the actual game. Print my guess. Option ans. Print easy guess. Option int rand. Okay, so this part, on this part, once I selected something, we will be displaying it here. Also, same with the computer, whatever the computer has selected, uh, it will be displayed here. Notice, by the way, that I use rand. So basically, what we need to do, what the computer does, it will just select randomly any option from 0 up until 2 and display it as part of its guess. Now, let's try to use for if int ans is equals to 0, int equals to 2. Ito put it first inside our parentheses. No need. Yeah, try to put it inside our parentheses. And we just need to group it out. Or int ans is equals to 2 and int rand is equals to 1. Or int ans is equals to 1 and int rand is equals to 0. Okay, so this will be our scoring part. So for example, if I selected 0, then the computer selected 2, we're going to go back here to our reference. If I selected 0 and the computer selected 2, of course, basically I will win because rock can destroy scissors. If I selected 2 and the computer selected 1, I would still win because scissors cuts paper. Next is if I selected one paper and the computer selected 0, I would still have won. Why? Because paper wraps rock. Okay, so this will be my score is equals plus plus equals my score plus 1. No need for this part. So it's going to be check first. It's okay. So I'll be having my points here now. Else if let's say for example the computer selected something else. Okay, so int ans equals to 0 and int to 2. No. If everything, let's say for example, everything is a tie or int ans to 1 and int 1 or int ans is equals to 2 and int ran is equals to 2. My score try to put this one as 0. It will not do anything. You just add 0. Okay, then else PC score is equals to PC score plus 1. Okay. Now, so we already have created our if statement wherein we can put our score. Try to put it first on new line. Okay. So we already created here the bulk of the scoring part of our script. Now let's try to output this time our score. So try to put it here. Print my score so try to put PC score okay, so my score and PC score. So this is where we are going to display our score. So let's try first to do the game. Guess choice. Try to run. Hopefully there's no error. Best of, maybe let's say for example 3. Turn 1. I chose 0, rock. Oh. Go back line 55. Best of 3. Okay. What if I chose 0? Line 30. Should be converted into int_ans. Best of 3. Okay. So I chose select 0. Then the computer also selected 0. So both of our scores would still be 0. Okay, this is turn 2. Select choice 1. I selected paper. Computer also selected paper. So both again cut 0. I would select again paper. As you can see, paper, scissors cuts paper. So my score would be 0 and PC score is equals to 1. Okay, so let's try this time to add 1. If int my score is greater than int print user 1, else print PC 1. But let's say for example this would occur if int my score is equals to int PC score. Both lost. Okay, so let's try to play the game. Best of 3. I chose rock. Rock destroys scissors. So I have 1. I shall be selecting again rock. So PC guessed scissors. I chose rock. So should be scissors destroys rock. Rock destroys scissors. So PC guess scissors. Wait, there's some error when it comes to the logic of the game. Let's try to check it up first here. int ans equals 0, and int rand is equals to 2. Okay. Well, we already have it here. If I chose 0 and the computer chose 2, I should be able to win. Okay, let's try to bring me some error. Okay, let's try to run it again. Best of 3. Okay, I chose rock. Both have 0. Okay, then next I will be selecting one paper. Paper wraps rock. So I have here 1, my score. Again, then I'm going to select also again 1 paper wraps scissors. So both. So since we both have 1 for score, so we both lost. Okay. So this is just a simple rock, paper, and scissors game. It can still be improved, I know. And at the same time also there's still some missing part on the logic of the game itself. So this is just for educational purposes, also at the same time testing purposes. Okay, so thank you very much guys for watching and listening, and hope you find something interesting on this plot. So stay safe and God bless always.